Always the questions. I know that's, guys, what you tune in for, the questions that they ask the contestants. And they ask them, you know, what is the one thing that you would wish for, that you would hope for? And the answer is always, say it to me, world peace. That's the accepted answer. And all of them will answer that. It's a running joke that we all know that that's what they're going to say. Peace is defined as freedom from disturbance, quiet, and tranquility. But we have a hard time finding world peace today. It is often in situations that are exactly the opposite that we recognize our need for peace. We seek peace most often in situations where there is noise, where there is suffering, where there is conflict. That is where we want peace most often. And we are certainly in the midst of it, aren't we? Refugees, politics, war, hunger. We've got it all. But it's the same kind of world that Jesus was born into. The song that we'll sing at the end today, Silent Night, it conjures up this calm, soothing, peaceful image in our mind. And it's often that 3-minute worshipful respite in the midst of our hectic holiday preparations that we look forward to. But that original night wasn't really silent. The world wasn't at peace. There was a divide between God and his people. There was a conflict with families and with nations. There was political tumult in Rome and oppression in Israel. There was the demanding physical travel for Mary and Joseph on their way to the census that was put out by Roman politicians so they could garner more cash. And there was unrest in the hearts of many on that night. But in the midst of it all, Jesus comes as the Prince of Peace. Jesus was and is the Messiah, the one that the prophet Isaiah foretold, for unto us a child is born. Unto us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. It's important to remember, however, that Jesus is not just a symbol of peace. He is peace in the midst of everything that is going on in our lives. Good news of great joy, the angel said. Peace on earth, they said. World peace. That's precisely what Jesus offers us this holiday season and always. Let's sing our song for the children, Hope is a Star. Advent is marked, it's a time of expectation, it's a time of waiting, it's a time of preparation and anticipation and longing. And there are few things in this world that we long for more than peace. This is an appropriate time and season to recognize that Jesus is our peace. That in him we can find that peace that we long for, that we crave, that we need in our lives. Because really our world is not all that different than the one that Jesus stepped into a couple of thousand years ago. We are certainly more technologically advanced, but it seems as if our fast-paced, high-pressure, high-tech capabilities have, instead of making our lives easier, have given us more anxiety, have given us more stress and fatigue in the relentless pace of life. We can't get away from it, ever. The scenery and processes of daily life, they look different now, but still we struggle to survive, to subsist and exist. Still we struggle for peace in a world where wars are waged and where violence is the norm. Governments and politicians rage and clamor at one another. And while we certainly have so much to be thankful for in our lives and in our community and in this country of peace, we have to make sure that all of the clamoring, that all of the noise, that all of the things that surround us don't squeeze out Jesus in this time. In that favorite Christmas cartoon, The Grinch, okay, which is, you know, it's my absolute favorite. He says that what he hated most was all the noise, 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 noise. Wouldn't you say that's the one thing you could do without this time of the year? Could do without the incessant commercials? Could do without the looping soundtrack of Christmas songs that started the day after Halloween? The whining about what they want for Christmas? And that's just our husbands. Think about this. Have you ever been somewhere when all of a sudden it just got really quiet? Perhaps you've been in a building where the electricity goes out and the buzz of the lights and the computers and the appliances is silenced. Or maybe you've been outdoors on a summer night and all of a sudden the crickets stop and there's just silence. We don't even realize how much noise we have until we have that silence. We don't appreciate it until we have the absence from all the noise. Sometimes we are so used to the hustle and bustle that we don't even notice the noise, the chaos, the unrest until it's gone. Until we take the time to experience the peace and allow God to silence the other noises we have in our lives. During this Advent season, we are recognizing that this is a time to reset, to reboot our hearts and our minds and just be still for a moment and listen as we wait for the Prince of Peace. Today, this week, would you take just a moment? Just stop. Just stop and be still and recognize the gift of peace that is offered to you, offered into your lives. Take time to unwrap this gift of peace that God offers in the midst of the noise. Now, it's coming down to crunch time. We got about a week and a half before Christmas. And I had this wonderful devotion that came to my inbox this week that I want to share with you. The holiday season is filled with contradictory messages. We celebrate the humble birth of Jesus with extravagant gifts and great parties. The Son of God gave up heaven to be born a baby to an unwed mother in a cave. And we memorialize this by eating frosted cookies. Jesus spent his first nights here on earth, sleeping in a feeding trough amidst the smell of sheep and cows. For clothing, he had nothing more than strips of linen normally used only to bury the dead. And yet, we remember this utterly impoverished birth of our King with feasts and enough presents to blow up a credit card for months to come. It's a holiday of excess to celebrate a king who came with nothing. And I'm not saying that you should give up giving presents or going to holiday parties. I'm not going to guilt you into returning the Xbox or the new bike that you got for your kid, or I'm not going to tell you to stop drinking eggnog lattes. But this is where I remind you that Jesus says to us, "Blessed are the poor." Jesus came to this earth poor, and he died poor. Even the clothes on his body were gambled away by his executioners. This should dramatically reorient the value we give to our possessions and the gifts we give this Christmas season. Jesus said, "The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come so that you may have life and life more abundant." Sometimes the thief kills by giving us enough stuff to drown ourselves. He destroys peace by giving us more to worry about, those bills that are coming. He steals happiness, convincing us that happiness is wrapped up in our worth and in our wealth and our status. He coerces us into chasing things, thinking that is what's going to make us happy, instead of waiting for peace. This Christmas, let's remember that peace came into this world because the King of the universe gave up everything to be with us, gave up everything, even his own life, for us. That's the gift of peace we unwrap today. Let's sing together, Silent Night.